when it comes to stocking up on ammo, I believe that there's a few mistakes that people can make, primarily three specifically. And when it comes to stockpiling ammo, I'm not talking about going to get a little bit of hunting ammo. What I'm talking about is stocking up, like having a reserve of ammo that in your head satisfies you with your future endeavors with the firearm, whatever they may be. And I believe that there's really three big mistakes that people make when they're going about that. And I want to take a moment and just really address those three. Because I think that if you just kind of refine your stockpiling efforts by thinking about these three things, I think it could save you a lot of money and save you a lot of waste. Let's put it that way. All right, number one is spending too much money. There's definitely times of the year, there's definitely places you can go to. There's definitely ways to manage the amount of money you spend to benefit you, to ultimately spend less and get more ammo. Not necessarily is quantity better than quality, but you can get a lot better quality and a lot better quantity both if you just focus on how you're spending your money when it comes to stocking up on ammo. And there's a couple things I recommend. Number one, don't feel like you got to get it all in one fell swoop. Buy a box here, buy a box there. Maybe this is on sale, so you buy a few extra boxes here. Shop around. Look around at your local places. Find out which practice ammo you like the best. Quit wasting money on the practice ammo you don't really like or doesn't work as well. Find the defensive ammo you like the best and just kind of focus on it instead of just having a bunch of random stuff. So it's important that you really kind of focus on the financial aspect of it. I think when people stock up on ammo, they just buy a bunch of ammo and they go home with it. I recommend take your time, shop around, buy a little bit at a time here and there. That way it's not breaking the bank. Figure out what you like best and kind of stick to those areas as best you can. All right, number two is really going to come down to the quantity. I believe that there's a lot of people that have a bigger ammo stockpile than any problem they will ever face. There's people that are preparing for the zombie apocalypse when really their biggest problems is maybe the raccoons are a little pestery in their neck of the woods. There's a point where you just simply have too much. You have too much. And one might say, well, there's never too much ammo. You can have as much ammo as you want, and never too much. And I get the point of that. I totally get the point of that. But number one, you got to think, well, how much can you actually shoot in a lifetime? How much will you actually need? How are you going to carry all that ammo around? I mean, there's a lot of aspects that people neglect to really think about as they stock up on ammo. Just in their head, the bigger the pile, the more comfortable they feel. And I believe that there's some general rules that I feel are safe to follow. Number one, pick your primary rifles and your primary handguns, your primary shotguns, and have 1,000 rounds for those guns. So 1,000 rounds for your primary rifle, 1,000 rounds for your primary shotgun, 1,000 rounds for your primary handgun. And then all those secondary guns, like your hunting rifle, maybe that old nostalgic war rifle you never really shoot, there's a lot of other guns that you don't necessarily picture yourself needing in kind of a scenario where you should have a stockpile of ammo, whatever that scenario looks like to you. You don't need it for all those guns, so just focus on your primary weapons. Stock up on those, have a little bit on hand for the others. But I believe if you have 1,000 rounds per primary weapon, you're doing great. You're doing better than most, and that's plenty of ammo. I have a hunting rifle that I bought 450 rounds for about 10 years ago, and I bet I have about 420 rounds of that still, because it's just not a rifle I use a lot. And that's kind of what I'm getting at. And that's ultimately going to lead to my number three, which is you have to protect your ammo stockpile. Make sure that you are protecting that ammo stockpile, because a lot of people stock up as if it's going to go on for 100 years. that somehow you're going to need this ammo that you're buying today and 40 years from now. Well, if that's the case, you can make it last that long. The U.S. Army will tell you that if you store it correctly, it should last for 100 years if you store it correctly. Is that the expiration date? Is that a given rule? Is that, no, of course not. But I believe that to be true to some degree, depending on a lot of variables there. But as long as you're storing it if it's comfortable for you in that room, it's comfortable for the ammo. Low humidity, room temperature that doesn't fluctuate, gets hot and cold. A lot of people will store their ammo in a garage or a shed. Super stupid. It's just going to get hot and cold and hot and cold and destroy that ammo. Places with high humidity. I live in Missouri. It gets humid around here. I've actually had guns rust in my safe because of just the humidity that there is in the state of Missouri. So somehow you have to protect your ammo from that by getting, containers that are better than my safe, apparently. That sort of thing. So, those are going to be the three big ones. Number one, focus on how you're spending that money. There's wise ways to go about it. Buy a little bit at a time. Make sure, pick your favorite brands, stick to that. Number two, you don't need a bazillion rounds. You can't carry that many rounds. If you ever had to leave your homestead, there's nothing you could do with that many rounds. And honestly, do you picture yourself in a scenario where you're battling somebody or something and you're like, oh no, I fired 1,000 rounds today and now I'm running low on ammo? Most likely not. Most people in a self-defense situation fire 0 to 3 rounds on average in their entire life. And that's just realistic. You take the police and you take the military out of the equation, you just put your average citizen is going to actually pull a trigger and fire a round in self-defense, most likely 0 times their whole life. But quite possibly, if you do have to pull it, you usually get to 3 and that kind of ends that gunfight. And then that's the only gunfight you ever get in your whole life. So just try to be more realistic. Again, are you preparing for the zombie apocalypse or some sort of squirrel uprising? Just really think about what are we actually preparing for and limit the volume of ammo. There's other preps to be made. And again, number 3 is make sure that you're storing it well. Just take some time, get good containers, store it well, store it in a place that's consistent temperature-wise, and then just count your blessing because you got a bunch of bullets that are going to do well. So there you go. There's the 3 ways that you should protect your ammo stockpile. I'm sure there's a bunch I didn't mention. Put it below. I do want to take a moment and say most people watch this channel, hey, they're not subscribers. Click that subscribe button. Greatly increases the algorithm and our ability to get these messages out. That link is below. But the most important part of this channel, we take prayer requests. So please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.